Conrad is competing with all these other blue calves. Still, one of the tankiest blue calves we have in the game. And he's probably due for a refine somewhere down the line. But the minute Bricoop gets a refine means he's going to be slightly worse than Bricoop. But that also means that whenever he gets his refine, he's going to outclass Bricoop again. It'd be really funny if Bricoop gets his refine, and then the next month Conrad gets his refine. He's fine, probably not worth investing, but he's probably one of your better options if you want exactly a mixed tank blue cav. Cormag. Good, but doesn't have a preferred weapon for some reason. His stat line's pretty mixed. I like how he has a little bit more speed, but I feel like he doesn't invest into it enough to make it amazing. He's fine. He's on the line for refines down the line. I wouldn't go out of my way to build him, but he's not terrible. He's not a bad invest if you want to put into him, but he's not something who's going to change your life if you build into him either. He's probably as good as I would say as Sigrid. Brunya. I'm still on the fence on how I feel about her. But I know for a fact her weapon's ridiculously good. The fact that she knows her all debuffs in combat and then just gets all buffs is really nice. And the fact that it doesn't even need to be debuffed, it just has to be below 100%. I think the close counter builds are a lot worse than strictly variants that focus more on nuking, or variants that focus on purely countering range spam. As a whole, she's pretty fine, and I've seen variations that can even take down Dressiers. She's pretty good. Would I say go out of your way to invest in her? If you want strictly this unit who's immunity buffs, yeah. But I feel like she needs a lot of invest to get to the point where you can comfortably use her to carry you in Astro. I don't think she's very good at light. As a unit, she is probably still in the top 10 in the Grail units. But unfortunately, she's not cheap because she was a Tempest Draw unit. That's the worst thing I can say about her as a whole. She's not cheap. Nice, Stacey. Hemp. Hemp the meme. The American unit. The unit that's okay. I actually think Kemp got done dirty, but not because he's bad or his weapon's bad. There's nothing about him that's strictly bad. Actually, his base kit's really bad. For some reason, he has Fortune Threat. I don't know what that's at all about. But his weapon's really good. The fact that he's competing with Roy and Ellwood is just a hard sell more than anything else. And the fact that Ellwood even got Resplendent is a harder sell to Kemp. I think he's fine. But there's little reason to use him compared to Ellwood if you need someone who can strictly initiate combat. The fact he can't get any impacts is probably what kills him the most. Jafar, 180 BST unit. He's good for arena scoring. He's fine. I don't think outside of that he does anything super amazing. He's the fastest armor dagger unit we have, but I actually think being colored hurts him more than if he was just colorless. He's fine. Air. Never gonna get refined because she is seasonal. Her stat line is actually pretty good, to be perfectly honest. I actually kind of like using her. But Her weapon's so good, and she has speed tactic, you can't help but want to murder these heirs. So maybe she's more of a victim of that she's trying to be good at so many other things that you want to pick her apart for what she's good at. The debuff to attack and speed is so nice. And it's so tempting to give it to Timari Tethys. She is fine. Red Dagger means she's always going to have some uniqueness to the Grail units. She's probably top 5 pottery Grail units in the game. But as a unit, I don't think she breaks top 10. But it's not because she's bad, but she's competing with a lot of other units for support. Where you could just use somebody like a dancer with her weapon. Trevin. Where did his spear go? If someone finds his spear, please tell IS so he can have it back. Because for some reason, he got released with a silver lance in 2020, and his daughter got released with brash assault in 2020. I don't know what this family did to IS, but they were done some of the dirtiest I've seen IS ever do, and that's saying something. If he ever gets a refined and a preferred, I will look at him again, but he is strictly worse than every other option. He is worse than Cormac, he is worse than Sigrun, he is worse than Cynthia. He's worse than Heath, which I haven't even got to him yet. But there's just slow boy with a lot of defense is kind of not an upsell as a whole. Oh no. Itsuki. Top 5 Grail units for Arena Scorn. His weapon's really nice. He has Dragon Slay, which is also really nice, and he gets a bunch of stats if the enemies, I believe it's if less units have acted. Yeah, so he's very good in initial starts in combat, so he's deceptively tanky as a unit. I like him quite a bit. He's kind of an upsell compared to Astrum though, because Astrum got released earlier. He's a GHB, so he's cheaper to build. That said, I'm more than likely to build an Itsuki somewhere down the line. Great unit. Not a lot to complain about as a whole. I think the biggest thing I can complain about is he's slow. And he invested a lot of it into his defense stats. So he's almost is eye to the hip running QR if you want to one-round units who aren't already dragons. Silk is just Silk on a horse, but because she's on a horse, she lost 20 BST or so. Maybe like 20, I don't even remember. She lost a lot of defense stats, and that really hurt her as a whole. She's really slow, so that means her bulk is actually cut in half when units start trying to attack into her. So it actually feels redundant, if not bad, for so much defense stats. I would have liked her to be a little bit faster. She's doubly screwed in that she is not only a seasonal unit, but she's a staff unit. So she's fighting through 2 barriers to get anywhere close to a refine. So I just don't see this happening. And she's new. Hard sell. I would not consider grailing into her. Rip Icy. Heath is so mediocre. And he got released after the influx of 4 other freaking Lance Flyers. and 3 of other them were freaking GHBs. The most he has to his sale is Rider's Bane. And is that really a sale? I don't know. And he's got attack speed push? No, he's got attack defense push. So it only works in the first combat. Ugh, this unit is frustrating to look at. I think his stat line's okay though. But he got released too soon. He's not going to refine it anytime soon. Hard sell. Would build any other of the flyers over him. And then we have Flame Emperor. AK IS wants to not spoil, but then they still spoiled 3 houses the next month. Yeah, I think Flame Emperor is okay. And it's mainly because he's Dorcas, except 180 BST with the same weapon. PHP is really nice, so he is easy and cheap to build into a 180 BST score skit. Mixed Bulk is really nice, considering so many different magic units can manage into a high tier arena because of the 180 and 185 BST dual skills that built into their skills. I think he's fine. I'd say top 5 for scoring reason. As a unit, I don't know. I don't think he does anything phenomenal outside of being a score stick. Or Floyd. I already talked about Lloyd. I think Lloyd doesn't compete well with the other red swords. Portrait is seasonal, never gonna get refined. That said, his weapon's really good. Even as a one-off with QR, he gets a lot of stats. He is good AA unit, but I think he scores at 175 BST, so it's a hard sell to use him because he doesn't even have a preferred weapon compared to Itsuki. So I think if you want something for pure scoring reason, you're better off building Itsuki or Astrum. He is min-maxed on attack and defense, I believe, and low res. So he does his job really well at killing, physical threats, but does bad at magic. So, I mean, that's the most you can really say about him. He's fine. Also, I'm getting all this Japanese music. I didn't think this was, going to be Japanese time. Yeah, get some other music for a second. Is this? There. I think Iago is both overrated and underrated at the same time. He was supremely overrated by people who just saw his tome and it saw lots of effects on it and was like, wow, it's just like a Versa. And he has 2 effects? So that's really good. But at the same time, being underestimated by the people who are like, wow, it's very easy to counterplay this weapon because you can just move next to each other or across from each other depending on what turn it is. Do I think he's good on AR defense? No, not really. Do I think he is good on AR offense? Not really. Do I think he's good for PvE? Yeah. Do I think he's good for Arena Assault? Yeah. I don't think there's anything intrinsically bad about him. I just think he's trying to do too many things. And it's easy to counterplay for players. But the AI is easy to force them into whatever scenario you want. I don't think he's worth investing into over other units, like a Versa. But he is interesting, at the very least. Which is more than you can say for a lot of other units. Minerva is really, really, really good. The fact that she had a preferred weapon and a 300 SP A that negates archer effectiveness is really nice. The worst I can say about that is she doesn't have DC because she has to get her A. She is really good, but she's expensive to build. I think if she was like a GHB or something, she'd be a lot more appealing as a unit, and I'd probably build one. But as of now, she's a hard sell. Again, compared to 175 BST units. I think 170 BST has quickly become obsolete as they release more GHBs and Tempest Trials that reach 175 BST. And maybe one day 180 BST. She's interesting because she comes with -1 CD on her weapon. I think she's fine. And she has a very competitive stat line because her weapon, her A skill, gives her a lot of stats. The fact that it doesn't give res, I don't feel like is a bad thing, because she probably doesn't want to take damage from magic units anyway. Because she's not running DC anyway. I would say she's on the upper echelon of Grail units, probably like top 10-ish. And then there's, I think, one more unit who hasn't been added as Grail units. Let me see. Actually, I guess two. We have Kanata, and I guess Ashnard, who's going to be eventually added. I think Ashnard is really, 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 really good. The worst thing I can say about him as a whole is I wish he had DC. He has so much debuff powers on his weapon, and he can actually run DC because his weapon has negates flying effectives. The worst thing I can say about him is he's tied to the foot, to key art, and because he's flying, he can't run interesting B skills. But I really like him. Oh right, Gangro's also in the list. I will talk about him too. Hinata is seasonal unit, but his weapon's really good, and he's great as a arena assault unit. The fact that he can get doubled twice and talk back with an Ignis means he blows up most units. With a huge fan refined and defense bond, and the buff from this, he can easily reach like 50-something defense without taking into account like visual buffs. He's pretty tanky. Would I say, plus 10? Probably not. I would say his weapon is worth considering foddering to other units though. Let's see. Gangrel. I actually could make a whole video on just Gangrel, to be honest. And I'm considering building like a whole video on Gangrel. I think he's low-key way underestimated as a unit. He competes very, very competitively with the other daggers who run CC Vantage. His biggest weakness is probably his res can get so high, he has trouble baiting some dancers to attack him compared to other broadleaf users. To give you some table math of how he can reach number-wise, with Levin Dagger, as long as someone's debuffed, he can easily get he can reach 40 res from air and his weapon. So he gets an extra 8 damage from pure damage. He gets 7 more damage because of his dagger debuff. And he gets an extra +4 from his weapon effect. So he gets an extra 19 as a standalone unit. And he's pretty deceptively tanky. I really like this unit. Do I think I'm going to build him for light? Probably not, but I think he's an interesting option. I really like this unit, and he's probably one of our best units we've gotten in a long time. Even as a base kit, if you want to use it for Marine Assault, he comes with Chill Attack and Panic Boy. He's nice. He is pretty cheap to build too. I think he competes pretty well with Plus Attack Soth, with Kronya, and with himself, obviously. I think those are some of the top 3 colorless dagger units who do aggressive vantage cleaning. But yeah, I like him. I'll probably make a whole video on him sometime in the future because I think he's not talking a lot enough, really. I wanted to sit on how I felt about him after this season. Rhys. Rhys? I think it's Rhys, because Rhys is W-R-Y-S. And this is R-H-Y-S? I think it's probably Rhys. Anywho. Seasonal unit, never gonna get refined. He is fine. I think, as a budget unit, having Physic and Palm Staff is pretty nice. I would not recommend grailing into this unit. I would love to see his Palm Staff used on a more offensive staff unit, but I think it's a hard sell compared to other staffs on offensive purposes, like Pain Staff, because it's a hard sell to say you're gonna miss getting 10 splash on enemy and player phase. As a unit as a whole, he's fine. I feel like it's a shame that he didn't get more speed, but this is completely in character for him. To have low speed, low defense, high res.